Hello and welcome back to the Remembering Tuscola webcast. I'm David Porter. We got almost a full house today. We've got Alan Michener, we got Bob Taylor, we got Bill Englehardt, and we're only missing one.
Oh, a big one.
So we'll do a shot. We know he's watching.
Yeah.
So what's any announcements or news or updates or anything as Mike sent any messages he wants to pass along or anything?
Mike's message would be to thank people for their concern and well wishes. And I know this weekend he'll be watching a golf tournament on TV like he did last week. And it was good to hear, instead of me initiating the conversation by text, he was talking about it by text to me. And I thought that's good. That shows good sign. He's wanting to bounce back.
Yeah, um, he initiated a text conversation with me last couple of days, and so just the tone sounded like he's feeling better.
Yep. Yeah, he
Well, he
is.
was wanting to know. He saw that Remembering Tuscola won an award at the State Press Association. He's wanting to know when he gets the money for it.
Or the trophy. Maybe it's a trophy.
It was a third place, so it's just a certificate.
Oh.
And so I told him the check is in the mail.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's heard that before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from me, he's heard it.
That is a nice recognition, David. Good for you.
Yeah,
I
it's
hope you had a nice time.
well, I don't have that certificate in front of me, but um, yeah, it was third place. First place went to some organization, community service where they were saving lives, and it's like, okay, you save one life. We affect thousands of people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we may not be saving lives.
Yeah.
No, I was worried about that.
No, but one of the things that I find in the newspaper business is we do a really great job of pointing out our flaws
Mhm.
and the demise of newspapers and loss of readership and internet and boo hoo hoo. What we don't do is talk about really good things we do. And one of the good things that we're doing is this program and the preservation of history for the community. We've scanned over 10,000 pictures and uploaded them. We've created a group online that is the biggest Tuscola group on Facebook. And I think that's a pretty good community service.
I do too.
I'd agree. I'd agree. Yeah. As I told you earlier, I'm surprised since Bob and I started on this, how many people I run into on the street that say, "Oh, I'm glad to see you're on there." He said that you're bringing some Tuscola history back to us, and I said, "Well, I've been around here a long time, so I ought to know something if I
Yeah.
can just remember it."
Yeah. Let's
So
see a picture,
anyway,
David.
your Bill's ready for pictures.
Oh, I
Okay.
am.
I think these might be 1960, 60, 62. Maybe
Oh,
you guys will know.
those were good times.
Huh.
Huh.
Well, we can see the high school in the background, so we know it's after the high school was built.
So that must be Prairie Street.
It is Prairie Street.
Has to be.
Boy, look at those old posts, would you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it looks different today. And you
Yeah.
can tell they're standing about where the is that a Quonset hut there? City's maintenance
Yeah. The county shed. Yeah.
County. Yeah.
county said. Because over here on the left, I think it might be a junk car. It may be autos.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that would have been it would have been there about that time.
Mm.
Uh, I'll bet it's a Shanks oil truck sitting there.
Yeah, bet you're right.
That's the first road, I think, that they were working on that and the grades up there by the railroad tracks. Later on when they redid all of that, that was a crowned road. And goodness gracious, we had kids fall off their bikes into the ditch and everything else. So
Yeah.
I was always appreciative of the fact they leveled that road off. But those posts tell a story, don't they? And there's
Yeah.
nothing back to the south there, business wise. None of that existed when they were doing this.
Oh no.
No.
Well,
No.
East Prairie wouldn't have existed
Right.
either.
He's
Yeah,
pretty.
that's true.
Yeah.
East Prairie didn't open until January of '69.
Yeah. Yeah, there's
Oh,
a county garage.
Yeah.
hang on
Yeah,
a
there's
second.
yeah, the third one from the left. Isn't that Herman Class?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And that, I don't know, that's not Corky Maddox, is it?
No, it's too tall for Corky.
Yeah.
We do have some names.
I think that's Hook Taylor, isn't it?
Could be.
Yeah, Rusty Taylor says fifth from the right, Hook Taylor. Could be our uncle to his left.
Yeah.
No
Yeah,
relation.
Hook.
No relation.
I worked with Hook he worked down at DeKalb too. Some later on in years.
I remember that name, but I can't really remember anything else about him. He may have worked at the lumberyard part-time too. That may be where I remember the name from.
Who's the young guy on the tractor?
Well, Chubb Connor says behind Herman Kleiss is Buckshot O'Brien.
Yeah,
Oh,
I wouldn't be a bit
okay.
surprised. Yeah.
Huh.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep, I bet it is.
Let's see what other comments we've got here. Carol Hausman says, I don't think that's Buckshot. But Chubb's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, he knew.
fifth from left, Howard Wilhelm. Jerry and John Stonecipher says my grandfather, Howard Wilhelm. Marcy Shoemaker says Bob Beasley top.
Beezer.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, I think I might looking at that closer. I think maybe it's closer to being Beasley than it was being
Yeah, I do
Buckshot.
too. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could be. Oops. I don't know what just happened there. Come on.
But I don't recognize any of the others.
I'm having a little
Mouse, you have a little mouse problem there.
topsy-turvy problem here. How about we go to the next one?
I'm getting motion sick here.
As long as it didn't change them all that way.
Yeah.
Style show.
Yeah.
That's Carol McCarty at the microphone, I think.
I believe it is.
Well, that's what Marcy said, and I blew that up, and I thought, I don't recognize Carol from that picture.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that style show was a big deal
Oh man,
back in
it
the
was.
60s. Yeah, we had a lot of clothing stores here in town.
Of course, this picture is probably 5 years older than I am.
Yeah.
Is that's Spona? Marla?
Here?
Yeah.
No.
That's
No, it's
That'd
too
be
old. That lady's
wasn't it?
too old for Sharon.
Michelle Lustig says she thinks the model is Sue Stewart.
I don't know who that was. I don't know that person.
I don't know if we can recognize anyone in the audience.
Well, I don't.
Mhm.
Other than that one, about the third row back, there's a lady in a black dress. Looks like, yeah, no, I don't know who that is. I thought it was Stella Smith. Used to live there on Egyptian Trail there where Rick Marsh lived.
Mm.
Big event.
Old Doc Hill.
John Hill.
Yeah. Worked with Deaver, didn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Looking at the comments. A lot of comments on this picture. You go to Facebook, Remembering Tuscola. You can click on the albums and read all the comments.
Yeah.
I've got some names on this one. Looks like they're having a little cookout. I was a little surprised, but I can kind of see it by one of the names that I can kind of see it now when I look at it, knowing the name.
I think that going from left to right, the third person there, I think, is Nancy Schrader. And that looks to be about the right location to be in the back of Jim Hausman's in the backyard where Jim Hausman lives now. That's where Schrader's lived. And I think that's Nancy would be about a class of 56 or 57.
Which one is that?
The gal in the black skirt.
Hmm.
And I think that's
Probably her classmates.
Yeah. I think that's about the right class for her. She's a cousin to our friend Jim Wright, Wendell Schrader's daughter. He was the ag teacher at the high school.
Pop Schrader.
Yeah, Bob Schrader.
Well,
But
Brenda,
that looks to be in the back that house. If you're looking at the two houses that you can see,
Mm-hmm.
that one is it was a newer brick home that was built there right next to that house, and then that one with the big steeple on it is the next one over, and I think it's it's still pretty much like that.
Brenda McCumber says, Brenda Watson Weaver on the far right. She thinks the blonde in the middle is Dina Watson Gould Ron.
Oh,
I think you're right.
Yeah, that's right.
And she says the one with the cooking the hot dog is Mary Knight.
Oh, really?
Wow. I suppose Mary, if she sees this, she'll name them all.
Yeah, I run into Mary once in a while, and so I'll have to ask her. But yeah, she was. When I looked at it, I thought, well, that can't be Mary Knight. And then I thought, well, it's 1960.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary, I don't know how old Mary is, but I would guess her to be around 80, maybe 80 to 82.
Yeah, because she wasn't in school when we were. Her sister Brenda was. Her sister Brenda
Mm-hmm.
Was, but I don't remember Mary being in school when we were. So she could have been about. I said that other gal was class of 56 or 7. She might have been. It might have been 58 too. So.
Yeah.
Is she? Andre just said that Mary is Jan Seed's age.
That's class of 62.
That's 6 years ahead of you.
In class of 62.
She'd be class of 61.
Jan was class of 62. She was a senior when we were freshmen.
62, yeah.
Yeah.
that's Candy Taylor.
Yeah, Candy Taylor.
Yeah.
Candy Taylor, and that's Jimmy Clyce. I know it is.
Yeah, that's Jim Clyce.
So 62. I was born in 64. I'm 60. Am I 60 or 61? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So add 18 years to that. So she may be late 70s, early 80s. Okay, that's Jimmy Clyce in the cowboy outfit.
Yeah.
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 lady up against the glass up there, I did not realize this. I had to cheat and I read the comment, but that's my mother.
Now let me look at that.
Juanita
Sure
Michener.
is.
Yeah.
To the left.
To the
The one
left,
to the one to the left there.
other way.
There you
Oh.
go.
Yep,
By golly, it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
sure is.
Yeah.
We should know that kid's looks like he's got black eyes behind that girl.
Well, she probably gave them to him.
Well, that might be, that's not Jimmy, and that's not Janice Moody, is it? That little girl with her thumb in her mouth or whatever she's doing there.
Don't know,
Well,
That she looks a little bit like
Janice.
Janice Clyce Moody, and with Jimmy over there, maybe they were there when I don't know what the event was, but
could be Janice Moody says, Chloe Moody, you look a little like your grandma in this picture. So she must be referring to herself.
yeah.
Candy Taylor graduated from high school in '67. Jim Clyce graduated in '69.
That's right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, Marcy says Janice Moody behind announcer and Jim Clyce in cowboy outfit. Let's see what else we've got. Candy Taylor in black dress, question mark.
No question, that's Motor Mouth. That's what we called her.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Alan, you might know this person, Jane Hurlbrink Campbell.
That's my niece. Yes.
Says, I'm happy to see a picture of my grandmother.
Yeah. She's my sister's daughter, and that would be her grandmother. She lives out in Colorado. So, see, we're really getting spread out here nationwide.
We are nationwide. Well, we're international. We've got people.
Are we? Well, that's right. We might even have one of our old classmates, Joe Mendel. He may pick up on this. He's been over in England for a long time.
Yeah. And one of the Huber girls lives in Europe.
Well, that's got to be either Mike or Phil Waters, but I bet it's Mike Waters. Waters. The little boy.
Well, Marcy says John Waters.
John. Well, it could be. It could be John.
And Danny Matthews says Mrs. Garrett and Dave sitting.
Dave Garrett.
Dave Garrett, yeah.
Mrs. Garrett, yeah. That's Russell Garrett's wife, isn't it?
Russell.
Was the dad.
Was he the dad? Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's the way it was. And then Dale. Huh. I'll be darned.
Debbie Deem Steiner says his mom Betty behind him.
Betty
Garrett was her name.
Betty Garrett.
Yeah. She was the mother of all those.
The boys.
All the Garrett boys. Yeah. Her mother, I can't think of what her mother's name. She was a really nice lady. She was on my paper route. She used to live down there in an old house right next to where the Pinson Washington Street car wash is. And her husband helped Joe Strasser, and I can't remember what the name was, but he was a painter along with Joe Strasser.
Was Ethel Garrett related to this Garrett bunch? Ethel cleaned homes.
Yeah.
You know, there was a Mrs. Garrett. Wasn't there a Garrett that lived behind Francis Dwinsing Station, OB Station? She lived right. That house was right to the west of the station.
I know who you're talking. I remember that Ethel Garrett too, but that's
But I'm thinking she lived down the street on Van Allen from us.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I know she cleaned
yeah,
our
she did.
house.
She did. I remember her cleaning houses.
I'm wondering if this is old-fashioned days or if it almost looks like a magic show. Top
Yeah,
hats and
I would sooner think it might have been old-fashioned days.
old-fashioned days. Can't tell what's over here on the table.
Yeah. I didn't know. Yeah, I didn't know either one of those guys.
The guy on the left, I think we should know. Gee, man.
Let's look. Where do you got any idea where you think that might be taken? I mean, that looks like maybe another USI thing or something.
We've got some other pictures, and the consensus seems to be that it's the water plant.
Our water plant.
Yeah,
Well,
Tuscola Water Company.
Do you have names on that picture?
Yeah, a couple of people have said that Melvin Parker and Jim Bump Humes.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
I
Jim
bet that is
Humes.
Jim Humes. Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
Melvin Parker was the manager of the water plant.
That's probably
his house was right there by the water tower.
Well, I bet that's that little building, that little masonry building that's right there beside the water tower. I bet that's where that's inside of that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever inside of it, but it makes sense.
Rudy Huber said it was really bright inside, had those windows.
Hmm.
No. I don't have any comment on this one.
No.
So somebody's proud of that HVAC system.
Yeah, well, it's a pretty big system.
It is a big system.
Yeah, I think so.
I wonder where that is.
I don't know.
Back to the community building. So give you guys a chance to name a couple of these ladies.
I can't do it.
I can't either.
No.
Marcy Shoemaker says Tracy Carpenter in the middle.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Nope.
No.
No, I wouldn't buy that. I'm not going for that one.
I know Tracy. I remember Tracy pretty well.
That's not Tracy.
Okay. Bruce Romine says looks like Mildred Romine on the left.
Well, that could be.
And Alice Hatchell says the lady on the right was a nurse at Jarman Hospital, but I can't think of her name.
Yeah.
Well, she's just like us. She's just like us. You know.
And then Alice Hatchell says, sorry, I meant the lady on the left. Was Bruce Romine says Mildred Romine on the left.
And I don't know. I guess I didn't know.
I had a good visit with Alice Satchel. She was Randall. She used to be when I was a kid, she was our paper girl when she was in high school. She lives in Villa Grove now, I believe.
You talking about Alice Hatchell?
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember her from a bookkeeping class in high school. She was a lot of fun. She's just really a funny gal.
Nice gal. I had a visit with her one day down at the garage.
Yeah.
Some of these negatives were not in too good a shape. I thought maybe somebody would recognize someone here, but I don't have any names.
Me neither.
No.
Or this one. It's hard enough to get football pictures in the dark. It was harder, 65 years ago than it is today.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can do pretty good on that.
Yeah.
We can do pretty good on that.
Well, Mike Carroll just passed out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he probably did.
It must have Kitty Kish in it.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
her.
Kitty Kish up in the right-hand corner.
That right-hand corner.
Jan Charnetsky Seed beside her.
Yep.
And then Jane
Jane
Rothgap.
Rothgeb,
And then Gerald Welburn.
Gerald Welburn,
And then Donna Dean.
Dean.
Donna Beard.
Donna
Donna
Baird
Beard.
at the time, but it's Donna Dean now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were at sat with Donna at a baseball game the other night. Had a good visit. Andrea had a good visit with her.
She's got a grandson playing now, doesn't she?
Oh, he's
David's boy.
it's David's it's David's boy. Henry
Yes.
Litch. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know who the baby is. I can't do you any good on who the little baby is.
Yeah,
Nor
I didn't
can
have
I.
any names on that. I thought someone might know who that is.
Yeah. Well, one of those gals might. Jane Rothgab passed away here just in the last 6 months or so.
Less than that, I think.
Or less than that, maybe. She lived up at Morris, Illinois. She married Denny Hackett. And
I didn't realize. Did I know that, Andrea, that she'd passed away? No, Andrea didn't know it. Jane. Yeah, I knew they lived at Morris, been up there forever.
they were really good friends of our friend Jim Wright. Jim and his wife Ann and Jane and Denny they both lived up there for several years, and they've become good friends.
Mm-hmm.
Jim said it was sort of tough to see her go.
Well, that baby would be about 66, 67 today.
Well, yeah, because all these gals are going to be 80 to 81.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Except Kitty Kish, who will always be young.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right.
Okay, Bob, who they playing here? What this is old.
It's a good question.
Now I will tell you one. I do have a name if you go to your left. Number 12 is Jim Perry. He was quarterback,
Yeah,
I believe.
I could
And
go along with that.
would
So-
number 40. Who run
Well,
it?
is that shoot. Doesn't matter.
Mercer?
No,
No.
Mercer was a quarterback,
Yeah.
and that'd been prior to Perry.
Well, we ought to get Mike on the phone. He could tell you all who the numbers were,
And I'm guessing
whether
that's,
they're correct or not.
yeah, I'm guessing that's probably Atwood, possibly, that we're playing.
I think you might be right there. It'd be black and gold. wouldn't
Black
it?
and gold. Yeah.
I see the football. We must have recovered it.
Yeah.
There's Leona Stephen on the right.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Pretty lady.
Yeah. I don't
Well,
remember.
that looks like Nell Gilpin.
That's what Marcy says.
The
Second from
second
the
one
left.
from the left.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Well,
This
she
must
worked
have
at the
been a-
courthouse, right?
Yeah.
No,
Nell was court, what do they call it? Stenographer or whatever?
right.
Yeah.
I don't know where that picture is, though.
I think it's in the community building.
Well, that's what I first thought about.
Back to the left.
Could
Was,
be.
When you look
remember
back
when they
into
used
that-
to have a restroom there on the left?
Well, there's a Coca-Cola machine back there.
Oh yeah. I think you're right. That's it. That's what it is. Men's restroom was there on the left, and then
Right.
yeah.
Looks like a political function. Got some political bumper stickers or something in their hands.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. This is the one we got all the controversy on. This picture here. Bob and I, neither one can remember that stoplight being there.
That's been a big controversy online.
Yeah.
It's like maybe I photoshopped it in. Who knows? But
Well, you might have, because I don't ever remember that. It makes sense that it was there because, you know, the school was there, the Southward School. And so there, you know, there was always a lot of traffic, probably more bus traffic and pedestrian and bicycle traffic than there was. Parents didn't take their kids to school, I'll guarantee you. Their kids either walked or they rode their bikes or they rode the bus.
Right.
But I just don't ever remember that at all. But this would
I don't either.
You think this would have been in the 60s?
Well, look at that Chevrolet sitting down there on the right-hand side of the buses. See the fins? If it's a Chevrolet, but
Oh, that's a
fins
59.
were late 50s.
That's a 59 Chevy.
Yeah, it's late 50s.
Yeah.
That would be Orson Moorhead directing traffic.
Probably.
yeah, it seemed like consensus is that most people don't remember the stoplight. They think it was not there very long. And they said it operated differently from other stoplights, so it confused drivers.
Yeah, red meant go and green stop.
Well, it's got three lights, but it said that it was a flashing red light would caution drivers to stop for school children on either sidewalk. Stop and go red light essentially. But why would it have three lights if it was just a stop and go light?
Yeah.
Said they had to replace light bulbs in it all the time.
Well, I just don't remember that at all. I do sort of remember that mailbox that's sitting there. But I sure don't remember that stoplight. Bob and I got to talking about one day about that house. He in the back side of that house is where there was like a sun porch. You can sort of see it hanging off the back. My dad told me one time that they used to live there, and he used to, in the summertime when it was so hot, he'd sleep out on that back porch because it was all just a screened in porch kind of thing. Then Bob told me later that his family lived there at one
My
time.
goodness.
It's a big house.
Yeah. I always knew it as the Welburn house. That's
Welburn.
the last Welburns lived there.
And in the background, you can see what we refer to as the Buck House.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
right next to that's Bob's house.
Yeah.
Well, the Buck House, my recollection is that was built by John Irvin.
Yeah, and the wasn't it Todd? What was the name of the hardware?
there was a Harold Todd.
Harold Todd. No,
Harold Todd.
I think they lived there at one time.
Well, I know they lived down the street where
They lived down the street.
Linda Dunning lives.
Oh, no, it wasn't Harold Todd then. How about
H. Ray Warren?
H. Ray Warren? That was the H. Ray Warren house, is what I knew it as. Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
You know, that is that the O'Reilly's, not O'Reilly, but the Riley's restaurant. Later
became Welch's.
Otto Kerner for governor.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, it must be a big Democrat connection there.
That must be 1960.
Yeah, look through the door and look to the other side of the street.
Yeah.
Warren.
That's Warren's plumbing heating.
Yeah.
Now, there's a gentleman sitting there to the far right. That's Harry Pate.
Yes, it is.
Sure is.
Judge.
Yeah.
This is back when Douglas County had Democrats.
Yeah. Not very many, though.
No.
We didn't allow very many of them to come in.
So that plumbing and heating, That's probably next door to where the newspaper office is.
Yes, it is.
Well, that would have been Todd then, wouldn't it? Or was that?
Well, I remember when Concert was in business there too.
Yeah,
Yes,
well,
it
he's
was.
on the other end. He was down there about where the video gaming store is now. He was in those buildings.
I think this particular building is where Harold Weber had his fix-it shop at one
I
time.
would say you're pretty close to being right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So most recently was the Western store and
Yes.
Well, that and then they had the vacuum cleaner store, vacuum cleaner
stores
repair
there.
guy in there. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is he still in business or do you know?
He moved to Virginia.
No, he's gone.
He's gone?
Moved out of state.
Moved to
Okay.
Virginia.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah,
These could be out of towners during old fashioned days.
right.
She looks happy to be there.
Where is the building there? We see the
Well,
water
Yeah,
tower.
you see the water tower. So
Well, that's the old water tower. That's the one that was down there next to the Mexican restaurant.
Mhm.
So that's one of the downtown buildings. I just can't remember. I just can't. Well, it just could be the back of the Sale Street stuff, maybe.
I'm gonna say doesn't look like the donut shop, does it?
No.
No.
If it was
The
taken out by-
parking meter off that guy's shoulder.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. See that parking
Yep.
meter?
So you're thinking probably Park Street,
Yeah,
or maybe a
I
side.
really don't know because I'm trying to get the
No.
bearings on that water tower.
I think if we were on Park Street, we would see more of the water tower.
Yeah, it could
Yeah.
also remember that picture could get reversed too.
that
That
could happen.
Yeah, that can screw you up. Yeah.
Sometimes if I don't have any reference, sometimes it's hard to tell when I scan them which direction the negatives. Well, let's see the steering wheel is on the correct side.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see Pee Wee Cunningham.
Pee Wee
right in the
Cunningham.
middle.
And Susan Nuccio, I think, that little girl to the
That's
right
Susan.
Yeah.
holding the baby.
Oh, and the baby is little Nooch, Jeannie.
Jeannie?
Jeannie.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Scott Brewer says, "Holy shit, that's me."
Scott?
Yeah. I think that's who Pee Wee's holding.
Oh, we
Yeah,
got
that's
him.
Pee Wee. Yeah. And if you drop down a little bit, yeah, that must be
There-
Doug.
That's Deanna Ziegler, the little gal in the white dress with the little
Yeah.
thing on her head. That's Deanna Ziegler. That's Dean Ziegler's daughter.
Yeah, Scott says, I know that's Jeannie Joe Nuccio in front of me. Her and I were the only months apart in age and toddler playmates. Pretty sure that is her sister, Sue, holding her.
Yep.
Mhm.
I'll be darned.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a neat picture.
Diana Ziegler left to Pee Wee.
Now, if you kind of expand out on that, who's that boy in that T-shirt stand back there?
I don't
I
know.
don't have an idea. No clue.
Huh.
Who do you think, Bill?
Well, initially I thought it was someone, but no, it's not.
Well, it's someone.
It is
Yeah,
someone,
it's
Bill.
someone. So I got that right.
Yeah, we'll get you a quarter point on that one.
He's got on moccasins.
Yeah.
Can't tell.
Mm,
Lady in the middle looks familiar.
I don't
You have names on this?
No, but they're celebrating a birthday.
Yeah.
I don't know what that building is. Looks like a basement.
You know, there used to be a lot of stuff that went on in the Presbyterian church basement. I remember going down there for, I think they had dinners or suppers or whatever,
But they
fundraiser.
did in the down on Pembroke now at the United Church of Christ down there. Where Ralph Deal is. They used to have a lot in the basement there.
Oh
too.
yeah,
Yes, they
yeah,
did.
they did, and that could be too.
There's the water plant again
Yeah, yeah, that's Jim again
Hmm.
on the right.
in Melvin.
Mhm.
Looks like
Melvin
must have,
Parker.
yeah, I was never in that building, so I see steps coming down in.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
never in there
great.
either. Heck is that?
Well, he's working on
Oh,
a clock, so I thought maybe it was Florin Aldridge, but I remember
no,
Florin with a beard and
yeah, that's not him.
yeah.
Yeah, it does look good.
Yeah.
Clock. Well, you know who that little bit looks a little bit like Oliver Glenn? No, I don't think so.
I can see why you would say that.
Yeah.
I don't know what this contraption is.
Like a trap.
Well, it looks like that's an old wood plane back there in the back. And
Yeah,
there I see what they call a spoke shave
and chisel
and
maybe.
chisels and all that. So
I can't imagine what storefront that was.
We got some
I
old
can't either.
crockery here, so maybe an old-fashioned days display.
And you know what? They would make this or they put displays in front of those windows that were old things, and that's obviously
Yeah.
some old items. Huh.
It kind of looks a little bit like a sword sheath, but
What?
the handle doesn't look right.
What do you think it was?
A sheath for a sword?
Oh, yeah. 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 I
I
don't
don't
know.
think it is, but that's sort of what it looked like.
Yeah, it does look a little like that.
You're familiar with those, but the swords you would carry would probably have a little curve to them, maybe, for your
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, like send Union Veterans
Mhm.
Organization. Yeah. Yeah, but I don't ever remember seeing anything. There was a guy that was in our group who has since passed away. His name was Dana Hales from over Newman, and
Yeah.
he was a big collector of I don't remember what they call them, blades. He always referred to them blades. It was swords and bayonets and edge weapons. That was what it was. That he probably, if that's what that is, he would have probably known about it, but
Yeah.
I don't. That's one we had. That one.
Yeah, similar, just different pose.
That's Corkmatics right there in the plaid shirt.
Is it?
I think it is. Can you blow that up just a little bit, Dave? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's him.
Yeah, that's Corky.
I don't know who the other guy is, though.
No.
That's probably was. They used to have a lot of those kind of shows out at the park. And blow up the pickup truck or the truck that's over on the side. See if we can read a name on it.
Getting a little blurry.
Yeah, got a little blurry. Yeah.
Tuscola.
Now, Kathy Rose says Corky and his father, Hugh Jackson Maddox.
Okay. I would never known him.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
And she would probably know. She was
She would know.
Doc Maddox's widow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty nice.
Case.
That is nice.
Yeah, that's really nice. You know, when you get down there, go back out. Let me see if you can. I'm trying to figure out where that is, but that looks like it's probably at the north end of.
It's
North
up
end
by
of-
the amphitheater.
That's what I thought those seats were. That looks like part of the amphitheater.
Uh-huh. I think that's what it is.
When
Or
did
where
they
it was.
when did they tear down the amphitheater?
Yeah.
Well,
Not for sure.
that would have been, I believe, in the early to mid 60s.
Well, that's a 49, 50, 51, 52 Chevy there.
Yeah.
More in that early 50s. But yeah, it was still going there.
Red River Special Line.
Huh.
This does not look like the park though.
No,
it
it
doesn't.
doesn't.
No, it's not.
With that building back there. So that other may not have been the park either. Assuming
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah.
you'd assume all the steam engines would be together somewhere.
Well, and
But if you back up to that picture, okay, and you look up above the car hood at that fencing,
yeah,
that's the fencing along the railroad
yeah, and
in the park.
and it's still there, and it's all made out of railroad iron.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
all.
it does look like the park, and
It's grown up all now, but yeah.
this you can't really tell the location, but yeah, I mean that does look like the park, but then we go here and there weren't any buildings like this.
I don't remember any buildings like that either.
No, I don't either.
So maybe it's not the same location, I guess. Could be.
Somebody just taking pictures of steam engines.
Yeah, I don't know. There you see more of the
Say that's not.
That's not the park either.
No.
No, not with those buildings around like that.
I wonder what those buildings are. Looks like they're I've seen better days.
Yeah.
You know, that wall, I don't think it is, but that wall looks similar to the wall at the amphitheater,
The back wall.
the back wall.
You know, it could have been, I don't remember seeing that off the back, but they would have had to have places for people, actors and stuff to
change
clothes.
This could be the back of the set.
Yeah, it very easily could be.
Because you see all the 2x4s and the structure of it.
But I don't,
That
you
could
know,
just
I
be a
don't hardly
facade.
ever remember when there was a back set on it. What I remember, it was just a flat concrete, platform. And then I do remember the seats. And for years, some of those seats that came out of there used for seats at the baseball diamonds, those concrete slab seats.
Yeah, I remember those. But you could build a set and take it down and it might only been up there for a week.
Well, that's true.
Be a lot of work for
a
lot of construction in it.
Boy, they had a lot of big shows there. The stories of them were that they had carnival acts and things like that.
You know what? This is the same speaker that was at the community building. Because you can't read it, but I think that was Chamber of Commerce that paid for the speakers and had their name written on them.
Yeah.
Doing a little detective work here on these pictures. This looks like the park here.
Yeah. Well, there's a high line that comes across the back.
Yeah, that's exactly.
And that looks like that's not. But that picture looks like Bill McCarty and Frank Marlar. Blow that up just a little bit.
in the back here.
Yeah, well, that's
I don't
not
think
Frank though.
I don't think
I
that's
think
Bill either.
I think that might be Bill McCarty, maybe.
Uh,
Well, I suppose it could be. I
Marsh.
don't know. It doesn't look like Bill to me, but
Yeah, I
this
don't
would have
know.
been 10 years before I ever
Yeah. Well, I thought the guy in the
saw.
light colored pants to the right of who we think is Bill was Frankie
Yeah.
Marlar, but it's not. I knew him
Yeah,
as
that's
well.
initially that kind of gives you that impression, but it's not.
Yeah. And that may not be Bill at all.
No, I don't think it is.
That looks almost like Cy Williams,
It does.
who
Yes.
used to be the janitor at the school when we were in high school.
Oh, Cy on the left?
Yeah, it looks a little like him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sure does.
But yeah, oh, Cy. Cy and Effie.
I wonder what this kid's carrying.
Mom's purse.
Mom's purse as well. Yeah.
Ooh, let's see if we can read the billboard there. It says
Charles Ruth out of St. Joe, Illinois.
It says Farmer Days. Does that say 29? Oh no, August 3rd. Yeah.
13
August 13th through 20, maybe.
through 20.
Oh, okay. Okay. And that probably maybe it was a advertisement for another show someplace else.
Well, you know, they would have those, and you're right, in other areas. And, you know, Villa Grove, I think, had a Farmer's Day thing too.
Yeah.
I think that's what their ag days took over, wasn't it?
Yeah, same thing. Yeah.
What we got going on here?
Plowing with that steam engine.
Steam
thing.
engine. I could almost pull a plow like that with a garden tractor.
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Here you see that structure again, and it does look like the amphitheater back
I
here.
think
See how
that's
the
what it is.
seats are going.
Yeah, they're looking to
Yes.
see. Yeah, that's what it is. That's the back
Yeah.
side of that. Yeah, I really think that is. I don't ever remember seeing that back there.
Yeah, this is really a piece of history here. I don't know that there's many pictures exist that would show the back of it like that.
I don't either. I don't either. And a lot of people, most people don't even remember the amphitheater.
No, before
You
my
gotta
time.
You better be 70 years old, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was gone before I remember.
Well, I have a wild story to tell about it that I was supposedly sworn to secrecy, but everybody's gone now, so it doesn't make any difference. But my dad told me a story. The guy that used to own the lumberyard before my dad did, my dad worked for him. His name was Percy Jones.
Oh, Emily's dad.
Emily Marsh's dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he was a sort of a cantankerous old guy, but in some ways he had a good heart. But he told Dad when these concrete seats were falling apart, he said, "You go up there," and he told him how many to buy and go up and buy enough lumber to replace all those seats with like 2x10s or 2x12s. I don't know what they were. But he said, "But I don't want you to tell anybody that I paid for them." And so my dad said that, you know, he did what he told him to do, but he said he was sworn to secrecy to never tell anybody that old Percy paid for him. So
I'll be.
But he was that kind of a guy. He's a fairly wealthy old codger. I remember when he died, his estate back in the early 70s was $750,000. So that was a lot of money in 1970.
Yeah.
They had, well, he had farmland, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They had farmland in Illinois and Missouri. In fact,
yes, he did.
When my dad worked for him, started working for him, he was as a bookkeeper. and he was having to take care of all the books on all the farmland, both in Illinois and Missouri, as well as the lumberyard.
I
Pretty
think
big operation.
Emily was born in Missouri, Louisiana, Missouri, I think.
Yeah. Well, Emily was actually a stepdaughter.
Yeah, that's right.
Because Laura Hauser
Was a sister.
well, Laura was his daughter by his first marriage.
So they were stepsisters. Yeah.
Married Howard Hauser.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But she was his only daughter, and then Emily was a stepdaughter. But
Yeah.
Well, this uh, stage area, it seemed like a lot of construction for like it would be permanent, but it's not really built in a way that would survive the elements very long.
yeah,
No.
doesn't look like it, does it?
So maybe that's why people don't remember it.
Well, if you run across pictures of it, you'll see the front of it. And yeah, this is pretty neat because it's the back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't remember seeing. Have you ever seen any pictures over with the front of it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. See, I don't
Yeah.
remember. The only thing I remember, like I say, is just a concrete slab platform.
Well, I want to say I remember the actual the wooden part of it back there. We used to go out there and run down those. It's a wonder someone didn't get
Yeah.
killed
Oh yeah.
on those crazy steps.
Yeah.
Jiminy.
They used to tell about how they have these professional wrestlers that would come in there. These guys from back in the 50s,
Oh yeah.
and they would come there and put on exhibitions and
Yeah.
Used to watch Dick the Bruiser on TV all the time.
yeah.
Mhm.
It was my favorite. A lot of steam engine pictures.
Yeah.
Alice Hatchell says, "Is that Russell Helm second from left?"
No. Oh, well, might be his dad.
Yeah, it's too old to be Russell.
Rudy
But you're
thinks,
right, it might be his dad.
Rudy thinks maybe Wib Jolly on the left.
That's possible. That's a good possibility.
That one is possible.
It's Rudy remembers a lot of these things, and then it occurred to me the other day, Rudy's older than I think of him. Because I knew Rudy a lot in the 80s when I worked at the newspaper, and his dad would come in and place sale bills, and I'd go to auctions, and
Right.
I hadn't seen Rudy in a long time. We had him on the show a couple of times, and he's just always seemed younger, but Rudy's
I don't know
old.
what year he graduated. Do you, Dale?
Well, he's his, if you look at his license, it gives it away. He's 70 this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking, didn't he graduate in about 74 or 5?
Somewhere in there. I mean, that would equal 80, that would equal 73 according to his license. He was with Waters and Sanderson,
Right.
good ball team.
But
Yeah.
his youngest sister is younger than I am. And so I just never have thought of Rudy being as old as he is.
Well, Johnny graduated in 71.
Well, she's the oldest, right?
The big sister, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I would graduate in 80, and Heidi's younger than me.
Yeah. Probably right. But Heidi is the youngest, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Another steam engine.
what is that? I mean, what do they use that for?
It looks
It's
to
a
me like,
sheller.
Sheller? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it looks like something you put grain in, and this might be dispensing it.
Possibly.
And these
Yeah.
big wheels would be connected to big leather
Belts.
belts
Yeah.
operated by the steam engine. Here we go.
Oh boy.
That's your old stomping grounds, Bill.
That's north.
Oh wow. Isn't that something?
Old Northward.
Isn't
This
that a neat
is
picture?
not the first North Ward. This would be the second North Ward.
Second.
Yeah, that's a second one.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We're on our third one now, but this looks a lot like it did when I was in school there, with the swing sets and the backstop.
Well, I can tell you, you ought to have some names on these because some of these kids, these two girls over here on the far right, next to the big blonde-headed girl,
Yeah.
they're pretty visible there.
Danny
You don't
Matthews,
have any names though, do you?
Danny Matthews says Kevin Connor just texted with him and Steve thinks that might be him behind Heather. And Tim Stiles says, yes, that is Jane Stiles pushing son John Stiles in the stroller. Jane will turn 102 years old this August.
I'll be darned.
My goodness.
Heather Stiles Miller is on the left, and next to Heather is me, Tim Stiles. To the right of Jane is Chris Stiles. In front of the girl, I think that is brother Steve, just above Heather's head, bringing up the rear.
Oh. Wow.
Boy, played a lot of round town baseball that back there.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you talking about that looked like it. Well, you had only been a year behind us, but that looked exactly the way it was that I remember. Of course, used to be all rock or cinder track, when that was at one time, and then that got blacktopped, I think, when they first started putting grade school over there.
The front part got blacktop, but I do remember when it was all track still from the high school.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and it was all coal or ash or cinder
it was
cinder ash.
Yeah, it was
during the summers for a long time. That would all burn off the grass or weeds, and you could see that cinder track, see the outline of it.
Oh yeah,
for years.
This brings back some memory. I was standing about here in grade school, and I got in an argument with a classmate who was always wanting to fight me.
No.
And so we were standing there, and everybody gathered around us, and we were going to fight. And of course, in my family, we were always taught, you never start a fight, but by God, you finish it. So I wasn't going to take the first punch, and he wasn't going to take the first punch. We're egging each other to hit the other, to hit us. Neither one was, so there was never a single punch thrown. And I went home and I told my mom about it because there was three of them. They were all three of them wanted to fight me. And she said, you go right back to that school and you tell them you'll take every one of them on one at a time.
Jeez.
Yeah. We were not, my mom did not coddle.
Back beyond our days there, that used to be the old football field as well.
Yeah.
And,
well, when it was high school.
When it was high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how long that was though, because you remember we saw those pictures a week or two ago about
the football field out here. They didn't start playing games out there until the early to mid 50s.
You're right. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And so prior to that,
40s. In the 40s, they probably played football there.
20s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any lights that I know of. I don't ever remember any light poles.
I don't remember them either.
I don't remember the light pole.
I just remember running that track though. I do.
Oh, I do
remember
too.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even when I was in school, you could see the cinders.
Sure.
Well, of course, the high school that we have now had a cinder track when I was in school.
Yep.
Yes,
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
You fall
Yeah.
down on that, you know you've fallen down.
That's right. It wasn't very forgiving.
You'd be picking rocks out of your knees for a few days.
Yep.
Oh, me.
You know, cinders were used a lot for road work back in those days. I know up around the lumberyard there, that was cinders for years. And actually, I think, no, we'd oiled and chipped some of it. So, but it lasted for a long time.
You know, we had my dad and I bought an old school building in Southern Illinois in the mid 90s. We were still burning coals to heat it, and the township would come and get our cinders from the ash
Right.
to use on the roads.
Yeah.
They were still using them back, that late.
This picture here, there's a 1960 Chevy there, and there's a 59 Ford in the back, and I think that's about a 59 Buick there also. So that tells you about the vintage of this photo. So late 50s, maybe 60. Well, that was a 60 Chevy, so probably
Ford Fairlane back there.
Yeah. That's an old, you know what that is? But that's one of those old, that's a Skyliner. That's the one that
it's
had
Skyliner.
Yeah, that was the you see how big the trunk is? Because that hardtop folded down into that trunk.
Got fender skirts.
You got fender skirts on. That's pretty classy automobile.
Yeah, that's pretty sharp.
About a 58, 59, somewhere.
59. Came out in 57, I believe. I'm not going to be able to identify any of those boys, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's Diana Robinson on the left. And the other girl was a girl named Sue Kroger, I think. She didn't graduate with us.
Damn, I don't know if we can. Taylor, we're going to have to give up on this show.
Yeah,
Bill's too good. So. He's too good.
Lois, how do you pronounce it?
Shirazazan.
Says
Lois Kleis.
I think Diane and
Maureen Teal?
Maureen Teal Spizik.
Possibly. I thought it was Sue Kroger. Why did I think that?
Yeah, see, that's a good thing it's a good thing we're still around.
Well, when he closed it in, it made a difference.
It does look like Maureen Teal now.
They just retracted their earlier statement.
Well, I know it's Diane.
Yes, I agree with that.
What's the building? Looks like a screen door.
It's a school.
That's the back of the school.
Yeah, I thought that looked like
the back of the annex now.
Yeah, that's where Eric Adams pushed me and I cut my head open on that concrete sill and had to have stitches.
Did you ever get the feeling no one liked you?
That's right, Dave.
Everybody wanted to fight me.
Everybody wanted to fight you.
Yeah,
you must have done something.
I was only 3 feet tall.
Maureen Teal ended up being tall. Maureen Teal ended up being a school principal.
Yeah, you think they, as small as I was, they'd leave me alone. But I had a big mouth.
Well, that'll cause a lot of that,
Yeah.
It's a short guy syndrome.
Well, I relayed the story of my mother. We were taught to never back down. So if somebody pushed me, I pushed them right back. My grandmother always said, the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah. Cute little girl, but I don't know who she is.
No. I had some names on this one.
Well, those the two
That's
girls
Diane
there,
Robinson, isn't it?
that Robinson and Maureen Teal right there. So that was taken pretty short at about the same time. But
Well, maybe if I blow it up, I think Janie Clark Harper had a name, and I think she's right on this woman.
looks like maybe
In the middle?
In the middle.
Who'd
Francis.
you say?
She thinks
You're
it's
supposed to say
Irene.
Francis Henninger.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking.
She thinks it's Irene Rogers
I
holding.
bet it is. I bet it
holding
is.
Bev Rogers Obrecht's hand.
They were related too.
Yeah, they're
Irene
sisters.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's right. How
Like,
about the boys on the right? How about the little boys on the right?
yeah, look at that.
Yeah, that's Dave Lecker. That boy in the striped shirt's Dave Lecker.
Is that right?
I think it is. I thought the other little boy that was yawning might have been Stuart Carmack.
Well,
But-
Dave and his son Eric, they mow our yard for us.
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to show that picture to Dave, see if that's him. I think that is.
Yeah. I like the pencil behind the ear too.
Yeah, I don't recognize that boy.
I don't either.
Young man.
You probably didn't hang with him. He was a student.
He might have been. Yeah,
He wasn't one of those fighters, you can tell that. Unless he was using that as a weapon.
Well, this is 1960. So my oldest brother wasn't born till January of 59.
No,
If that's 60, that's not Dave.
that's true. That wouldn't be Dave if it was 60.
Hey, Dave,
Well-
do we have many more to go? I'm supposed to have an appointment.
Well, let me take a look here.
That kid in the white T-shirt looks familiar.
Yeah,
Look
but if
like-
1960, how old would those kids be? Probably at least
Well,
first
Diane
grade.
and Maureen Teal are my age there, so they're 12.
Okay, and that boy over there might be 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So we got 16 or 17. We can save them.
Okay.
Well, if that's all right with you,
It's all right
I've
by me.
enjoyed it. I've
Yeah.
enjoyed it. And I thought the dynamic duo from the class of 65 did well today.
Well, we try. We really try hard.
Well, that's good.
Yeah,
That's
we really
good.
try
That's-
hard.
That's
You know-
what we expect.
We got a lot of things to uphold there, so we do our best.
Yeah, well, it's like climbing a mountain. You're really having a hard time getting to the top.
Yeah.
Well, it's- my excuse, these were 5 years before I was born, so I wasn't there.
Well, you've got the great excuse.
Yeah.
So
It
you learned
was,
a lot today, then.
You know, if you think about that park and things like that amphitheater and those ball diamonds and everything, and then the swimming pool came in the late 50s, it was a great place to grow up.
It
Well,
was.
And
It
don't,
was.
don't forget, earlier on, there was a golf course out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't ever remember that.
I don't either.
I've heard my dad tell about it, but
Henry Sin,
yeah.
there was a piece in the paper years ago. It's like the 50-year ago column. And they
Mhm.
talked about Henry Sin. They knew it was going to be springtime because he'd gone to the park to hit golf balls on
Yeah.
the north part where there's supposedly a golf course out there.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
Yeah.
I know it. I know it.
But
Well,
anyway,
we've always been pretty lucky. We've had a nice park. We really have.
yeah, and it's
And that's
really good
the
shape.
swimming pool. The swimming pool and the history on that swimming pool is just unbelievable. That we've had it this long and continued to support it and keep it going.
So for
Big deal for kids in the summertime in Tuscola.
Yeah, it
The
is.
younger people who don't know a little history, the park is named for Nathaniel Gratt Irvin,
Yeah.
who lived where Alexanders live on Main Street. When I was
Yes.
a kid, it was the Brannick House.
Right.
Yeah.
Big
For
stuff.
us, it was the Kahneman house.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep.
All right. Well,
Kahneman's.
anything else before we go?
No. Thanks a lot,
See you
David.
guys. See you
Appreciate it.
guys next week.
All right. All
David,
right.
did we have a sponsor this week? We thank them.
Elite Builders.
Well, thank you.
Elite Builders. Good
Yep.
deal.
All
Thank
right.
you guys.
Yep. We'll see you next week on Remembering Tuscola.